Greetings, brothers and sisters. I am looking forward to giving you a short message this evening. I record them in the evening. Whenever you watch them is when you watch them, if you watch them. I think I'll call this one Thinking or just Outside the Box. It seems like all we know from the time that we're born is our three-dimensional reality. Up, down, forward, backwards, side to side. And it's very hard for us to think that there is more than the three-dimensional reality that we live in. It's almost impossible for us to believe it. But God tells us that there is. One of the things that you might do that might help you understand how we get trained into this three-dimensional reality is if you look at the behavior that you would have if you were confined to two-dimensional reality. And people say, well, how is that possible? Well, I mean, when you play a video game or, a computer game on your laptop or phone, you're actually playing a game that's a two-dimensional game, even though you're outside of it. But if you could imagine being inside of it, where you are flat, maybe you could see. But if you watch people that play it, and I've played them, I'm not saying I'm above playing them, you can see some of the instincts that people have as far as how they play the game. And you'll see people that play gambling games. They're not playing for money, but they sure do enjoy winning. And I just won quadrillion dollars. Not, all of it couldn't buy you a Coke, but I mean, the idea is that you get kind of caught up in the game. And I've seen people playing, what is that, Grand Theft Auto, hijacking cars, and they get to keep the car. They'll go into an emergency room and kill people and then take all the money out of their pockets. They get to keep the money or whatever they do. You know what I'm saying? And you can bring out the worst in people in these games. But we're in this three-dimensional reality. But we're told by God that there is more than this three-dimensional reality. Let's see. If you look in Luke chapter 12, starting in verse 16, you can see that this mentality that you get in your environment, that is all you've known, becomes everything that you count on instead of looking beyond. And it's hard to look beyond because we are only told it's there, that there's more than this. In fact, we're told that we can't even imagine how much more there is. The mind cannot imagine it. But there's a situation in Luke 12. Christ speaks a parable unto them, and he says, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, this rich man thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? What a pleasant position to be in. And he said, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. Which is something that we can all identify with in our own lives, right? I'd just like to get to the age of retirement where I have everything I need and enjoy life. But God said unto him, Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided? So is he that layeth up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God. So, it seems like you can't win the game. Now, can you imagine how unpleasant it would be to be playing, Grand Theft Auto? I know when my grandson plays it, if I come to pick him up, well, hang on. I need to park this car so I get to keep the car. Well, actually, it's just a two-dimensional picture of a car, and that way I can save my money and things like that. Well, it's the same thing when God looks at us. We feel as though, we've got this and we need to keep this. And really, we're not going to get to. I'm not saying that it's wrong to accumulate, and I'm not saying it's wrong to try to provide for yourself and your family. What I'm saying is what Christ said here is this night and all your plans aren't going to work out the way you hoped, because your soul is required of thee. And so is he that layeth up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God. What have you done about the things beyond this three-dimensional reality? What investment have you put into that? Because that's the only thing that you're going to be able to have beyond this three-dimensional reality, which is just a matrix. It's not going to be there anymore. Well, yes, it's the universe is forever. Well, let me tell you something. It's not going to be forever for you, okay? And it's not really going to be forever by itself. This sun is not going to be here, and this planet is not going to be here. Even there's no scientists that deny this. The sun will burn out in another 4 billion years. If they're right, it's not going to last forever. It's not like a heater that, never runs out of fuel. So, what are you putting away for the life in the new reality? And it's something you can think about. But let's think about what happens to someone, because all I know is this three-dimensional reality. All I've ever known is this. But I've been told there's more. Now, what if you came from the higher dimensional reality of the kingdom of heaven, where we can't imagine it, but all kinds of things that we consider impossible are possible. 11, 12, 15 dimensions of space or more. Being in more than one place at the same time. Things that just we can't comprehend. Flying, whatever. Now, if you used to be part of that reality and you fell, which 1/3 of the angels and Satan fell, they were dropped into three-dimensional reality. Well, I guess they'd be pretty special people here. Well, no, actually, it's a very awkward thing, because if you, as a three-dimensional reality person, were dropped into two-dimensional, you're now flat on a screen, right? You can see that you wouldn't have too much going for you. In fact, it's very rough. And if you look at the next little passage, it's in Matthew chapter 12. It's not a passage, it's one verse. It says, "When the unclean spirit is gone out of the man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none." So, to be in this three-dimensional reality when you're used to the heavenly dimensions, and you are lowered or dropped or fall into this horrible existence compared to what you were used to, the only thing you can do is the same thing you do when you're playing a game. You hijack a car. You kill somebody for money. You try to buy guns. You try to buy the car. You try to this, whatever you're going to do in the games, right? I'm not that familiar with the games. But what the fallen angels do is the only way that they can get around, instead of walking out in the middle of nowhere in dry places, seeking rest, is when they can hijack someone and have a joy ride and manipulate that person. But it's really not always a successful thing. What a demon looks for is a weakness. The same way you would look if you were playing Grand Theft Auto. There's a bunch of police around this car, and they've all got guns. And but there's an old lady getting a grocery bag out of her car. I'll go get that car, and besides that, it's a nice Corvette or whatever, right? So you look for the weakness. Demons look for a weakness, some way to fool you through the temptation you have in that weakness. And then they manipulate you. They subdue you. They wind up owning you, right? And they get you further and further into doing what they want you to do. But they had to be invited through that weakness. And I'm not saying, well, I have no weaknesses, so I can tell you guys about it. No, I am as weak as anyone else. But that's what demons look for. And if you think about it, if they can hijack enough people and con them and fool them into certain behaviors, they can become very powerful. So when we are reading in Revelation about these visions of beasts, right? People think of when they see a demon, they're going to see, when I finally see one, I'll know a demon when I see him, right? Well, actually, you can't see them. They're spiritual beings, and all they can do is hop rides on physical three-dimensional beings. Whether it's a pig or not, and they wind up running the pig off the cliff, or the herd of pigs. That's the way they are. They destroy everything. They're not happy about being in three-dimensional reality. But if they can get the right people and manipulate them, they can actually take over governments and kingdoms and countries. And you'll find one that usually is, people like to think it's the human being. The human being is not in much control at all anymore. The demon has completely overtaken this person's being. And you'll find that one person probably taken over by the head honcho demon, which is Satan himself, the highest of the fallen angels. And so you have, and he's manipulating all the other angels into how to organize the people that they've taken over. And you get these evil governments, right? Some people, if you say, well, John said he saw this beast, right? Could see because he was in a spiritual realm being shown these visions of what these demons really look like. But from our point of view, all we can see is the humans that they have taken over, right? So, could be right, could be wrong. It's food for thought anyway. So if you want to think about what's happening and the interpretation of the end times prophecies, you have to remember that you're going to be dealing with humans that have become corrupted through one small weakness that left the door open, and the herds came in of these demons and infiltrated. Why infiltrate someone that's easily taken down and sleeping on the street as an addict, when if I can take down someone with some political power and clout that can do what I want him to corrupt the planet and corrupt the world and take over the world, right? But don't ever say you haven't seen demons. They're everywhere. I want to read one other passage, and that's in the Gospel according to John. It starts in John chapter 8, verse 43. Or we can actually look in verse 42, I guess. Jesus said unto them, If God were your Father, you would love me, for I proceed forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? He's talking to the religious leaders of Israel, right? Why do you not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear my word. Ye are of your father the devil. He is telling them that they are demon possessed. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth. And this is one classic sign of a demonic influence. They reject truth. There's no such thing as male or female, or whatever we have complete evidence of. God said he made them male and female, right? Humans. Anything you can do to reject the truth. He told Eve, no, you can't eat of that fruit. And if you do, you will be as God. That's the way he works, totally based on anti-truth. It says, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, ye believe me not. Which of you convinceth me of sin?" Which one of you has actually seen me sin? And if I say the truth, why do ye not believe me? He that is of God heareth God's word. Ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of God. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, Say we not well that thou art a Samaritan, which was a group of half Israeli and half heathen, that the Jews looked down upon. Thou art a Samaritan and hast the devil. They're saying, you're the one with the devil, and you're the one that's a half-breed. And Jesus answered, I have not a devil, but I honor my Father, and you do dishonor me. And I speak not mine own glory. There is one that seeketh and judgeth. Verily, verily, I say unto you, if a man keep my saying, he shall never see death. Then said the Jews unto him, Now we know that thou hast a devil. Abraham is dead, and the prophets, and thou sayest, if a man keep thy sayings, he shall never taste of death. Art thou greater than our father Abraham, which is dead, and the prophets are dead? Whom makest thou thyself? Who do you think you are? Jesus answered, If I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honoreth me, of whom ye say that he is your God. Yet ye have not known him, but I know him, and if I should say I know him not, I shall be a liar like unto you. But I know him, and keep his saying. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it, and was glad. Then said the Jews unto him, Thou art not yet 50 years old, and thou hast seen Abraham? Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. And I am is God's name. And that really got him mad. Then they took up stones to cast at him. But Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. He could walk right through them, because he did not confine himself to three-dimensional reality. And he tells us all the time, we don't have to do that either. If we had the faith of a mustard seed, we could tell that mountain to move over there. If we had the faith of a mustard seed, we could tell that sycamore tree to pluck itself up and move out into the sea. If we had the faith, and that's what it takes, don't always believe in the matrix. Don't always believe in this physical reality, because it's not that real. Even science now says we are in a virtual simulation. God's telling us this. This is not the have-all and end-all, this physical reality. And everything that you think you're doing that's going to be permanent is not going to be permanent. If you had faith, you can walk on water. If you have faith, you can cure someone that's sick. So everything that really counts is based on what we do with faith. And that thinking out of the three-dimensional box. I do like that commercial. Think outside of the bun. But at any rate, I hope I've given you some food for thought. And I ask, always keep South Valley Neighborhood Church in your prayers, SVNC. And if you ever feel like visiting us, please, you can leave a message for me on the YouTube messages, and I will call you. I've put my number out there before. So God bless you. Father and God, thank you for your wonderful words, and thank you for creating mansions in a place that we're going to be able to go to outside of this reality, Lord. For it's in Christ's name I pray and give you thanks. Amen.